We've really seen a lot of coping this week, especially from the Conservatives in the fallout of their not only just the local elections, but increasingly so because of the retained EU law bill that they haven't, shall we say, really upset with Kimmy Badenoch now. Like I say, she's now public enemy number one for the ERG, that's for certain. But today we've got something a bit special for you because I wondered if we would get this. I really wondered if we would get this. But this comes from a local Tory councillor who is going to go on to say that they lost Medway Council, a council the Conservatives have held, or at least been in the majority control of for over, I think, 26, 27 years, I think, from what I remember from the article. So that's a very long time for a council to be in sort of Tory hands. Now it flipped over to Labour. And increasingly so throughout this article, you're going to see what is the best way to describe this article. It's a whinge fest. There's no other better way to really put it. I was trying to be kind, to be honest, but I don't see really why I should be. It's a whinge fest. This is an absolute whinge fest. And to be honest, anyone who is from Medway, I would love to. If you are from Medway, I would love to hear what your reaction to this flip has been, and what you think to this guy's arguments to why the Conservatives lost control of Medway Council. That would be very, very interesting to hear if you are a Medway resident and you know what's been going on, certainly on the ground more locally. Please do let me know down in the comments. Like I say, I would love to know what you think of this guy's reasons why he lost. So let's go in and see some real good Conservative tears today. So before we jump and dive into this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. There is the Buy Me Coffee link down below, the YouTube thank you button, and of course the Pony Club as well. So over now to ConservativeHome for this fantastic bit of camp. In Medway, the Conservatives were punished for disunity. So this is his reason. This comes from Councillor Alan Jarrett, and he was the leader of the Conservative group on Medway Council. So on a gloomy day for us Conservatives on May the 4th, few places were gloomier than here in Medway. Not because we lost control of the council after 23 years, but the manner in which it was lost and the underpinning reasons, some that could have been avoided. There will be no doubt those who seek to use statistics as some sort of consolation. But even if our share of the vote did increase by a very misery 0.5%, that could not match the Labour increase of over 5%. Like saying, if you're taking solace in you had a minor vote increase of 0.5%, then yeah, that's not a lot. That is not a lot if you are even though you lost that much, you're like, well, we increased the vote by 0.5%. Meanwhile, Labour increased their vote by 5%. And I bear in mind, as we've always said, when it comes to these local elections, when we were saying it before, very, very small percentages, like 5%, can lead to things like this. Absolutely destroying control of a Conservative-ruled council. And all it took was just a 5% increase. Like I say, it's not a lot to really achieve, especially when it comes to local elections. However, the result is more nuanced than that. There are a number of factors combining to create a perfect storm, allowing Labour to win control. So here come the excuses. The three main factors to see why the first Labour victory in a 26-year life of a Medway unitary, an extensive boundary review which saw the creation of 2 more wards and 4 additional council seats, the unpopularity of the Conservative government on a number of fronts, together with an open split Conservative group and a corresponding somewhat fragmented election campaign across 3 constituency parties. So the first part is what he's crying about, the boundary review. The boundary review was a disaster for us, with some safe Conservative wards broken up, whilst several marginal wards were made up even more marginal than before. So, first of all, oh no, they took away our safe seats. Here's the thing: these boundary reviews, not only within local wards, but even for like MP wards as well, have been a long time coming. These have been put off for about 10 years. And in fact, we're actually behind the times because recently, when they agreed to do this boundary change, almost like the couple of next days after, they did another survey which said, well, actually, we need to change the boundaries potentially again. So, yeah, interesting times indeed for boundary reviews. So, uh, conversely, the safe wards saw. We saw that. Conversely, we saw safe wards saw boundaries change in order to pile up additional votes, whilst neighbouring wards had the majorities shaved to wafer thin. Rock solid Conservative areas saw our ascendancy lighter than before, with the net number of our seats reduced. The creation of a single member wards played to our advantage in two areas, but at the expense of loss of seats nearby. The review can be best described as death by 1,000 cuts. And even if all parties had an equal opportunity to put their case, there can be no doubt that Labour's submission was far superior to our own. So he basically cries, oh no, we've had our majorities changed. And again, I've said before, I don't like safe seats. I don't like the idea of this at all. I think it's ridiculous. But if you want to get rid of safe seats, then the only option is we have to get rid of our voting system from first past the post, change it to PR, make sure everyone's votes count regardless of wherever they do. And we have seen, as we said, the PR campaign is now also looking at councils for PR, for councils to sort of push PR as well. That is something that is gathering pace as well. So if you're interested in looking at something like that and how you could get your council, your local council, to pass a PR motion, because on their website tells you how to do it. The motion is already pre-written for you, tells you how to submit it and everything. Go for Councils for PR. Very good campaign. Very good something to get involved, because it's pretty much gives you the exact roadmap template of how to do it. So, next excuse, the government. So the mantra that all governments become unpopular is a truism. However, when that unpopularity becomes ingrained, the prospects for local election become even more pragmatic than before. A major source of disquiet in Medway has been the centrally imposed housing targets, which can be described in Medway's case as excessively high and disproportionately to need, as evidenced by the latest population census. So here's what they're complaining about. This is NIMBYism in a nutshell. We want to put all these houses, and then along comes an NIMBY, but oh, we have such a low population, you don't need this many houses, because if you do that, you would lower everyone else's house price. You can't be going and doing that. Meanwhile, there are probably people in that area who would love to live there but can't because the house prices are just too high. Anyway, this played into the hands of the so-called independents and also our Labour opposition. I love this. So-called independents. Love it. Elsewhere in Kent, this discontent, primarily over the planning issues, has been driven by those housing numbers, has seen hard-working Conservative leaders lose their seats in Canterbury, Thanet, Dover and Folkestone. Here's the thing. We need housing. We need this to be built. And this is something a lot of people are going to have to get over. That we have to build houses, like it or not. That means your precious house price is going to come down. And this is something, another big UK government, big UK consensus thing, that, your house price should only ever go up, should never go down. Of course, if you build more houses, that of course increases sort of the capacity for people to be able to buy houses. which of course lowers your house price. And in many of these big sort of rural-ish conservative seats, they don't want more houses built because then that lowers their house price. It's that simple. But this is something that's going to have to be certainly got over. And even in the Labour Party, I do highly suspect there is a lot of this going on as well, and it's something that's going to have to be really tackled. But yeah, to say that he's now sort of blaming it on them is again interesting. So the government can claim that its housing targets are, quote, a start point that has done little to placate voters, in the knowledge that nothing of any real substance has been done to curb the power of the planning inspectorate to mandate where and what would be built and where. Again, why would you want to curb the power of the planning people? This is just it's NIMBYism in action. We don't want the planning people to declare that this field suddenly gets to be built houses upon because that lowers our house prices. That's it. That's generally the case. Anyway, the punity of primary care provision has also become a major source of disquiet. The difficulty of even getting to speak to somebody at a GP surgeries has become a real irritant to voters, with the prospect of actually gaining an appointment to see a GP one of the reasons for high demand of A&E. With a ripple effect throughout the whole NHS is obvious. One of the things that feeding the prescription at the cost of living crisis has been the decision in the latest national budget to freeze personal and other tax allowances until 2026. Although these have perhaps yet to feed through to the public at large, this additional pressures is on its way. Again, trying to blame national, and yeah, I think it's one of the things, as we said, from when all this happened, people have turned around and looked at if this is how bad the nationals are acting, how bad is it on a local level? And people, I think, have for the first time in a long while looked at their Conservative council and gone, they're not that good. So the fact that the Conservatives at the national level have been proving so bad has made people look at what their Conservatives are doing at a local level. And this has led to a lot of people going, oh, my word, what on earth are they doing? So the next part, division. And I like it because he starts with, again, something that is absolutely true. There is an unwritten rule that divided parties do not win elections. That is very true. And as I've said it before, the most divided party at the moment is the Conservatives. In our case, there had been a long-running disagreement over housing targets and the emergency local plan that coupled coupled with the not very well hidden and the completely unsuccessful attempts to overthrow the group leadership achieved no more than to give the opposition a boost of morale when it needed it most. So this is what we have seen a lot of local councils, especially in Conservative-led ones, because you've had the NIMBYs and the YIMBYs fighting it out with each other to try and get their planning through. Most of it is housing. It is entirely to do with housing and building sort of more houses, and probably in a lot of Conservative cases, not affordable housing, which is what we needed more in the UK, drastically more. Like I've said before, we're not just in a housing crisis, we've moved well beyond that point. And I said Labour at the next general election, if they are smart, should go, we are not just in a housing crisis, we are in a housing disaster. I think that would be very, very big points for them on that. Over the last 23 years, our group has pulled together, even in difficult times. Any disagreements have been dealt with behind closed doors, but all that changed over the last 18 months or so with open rebellions against the Conservative group whip. To demonstrate to the electorate that there was a division in the ruling political group creates uncertainty and an opportunity for a wise opposition to exploit. Again, that is being the NIMBYs and the YIMBYs going to war against each other. So our borough-wide election material has traditionally been of the highest quality. As was the case with the manifesto, it is essential that any election to try and maintain the highest standard of printed material in order to try and make the maximum impact in the shortest time possible. Okay, I agree with that, but now you're blaming the quality of your printed material on your loss. Okay. Okay. Um, the very the victorious Labour Party would be entitled to cheap political jibes, but when it described our campaign as the most shambolic it had ever seen in Medway, it certainly gave us food for thought. Would of course not agree, but with a record 6 consecutive election victories spread over 23 unbroken years, crumbles where there have been some serious soul searching, not least because we have historically bucked both local and national trends. Medway has changed over the last 26 years. Much of the change is now embedded and will continue no matter how incompetent a new administration may turn out to be. Wow. um, already trying to say, oh, they're going to be so incompetent. They're going to be so incompetent. Look at all this fantastic change we have done. Meanwhile, there'll be a lot of people in your area who would drastically disagree with your control over those 26 years. And probably the fact that you have had over those 26 years, because of those boundary changes, a lot of safe Conservative seats in your council, because of that, has probably aided in that. And for the first time, you have lost your seats at such a level. And now he's already on the attack. Oh, they're going to be just so incompetent. Why? How do you think so? They've barely done anything yet, but there you go. However incompetent it is. However, we are be right to worry about the future of our area and to worry about the future prospects of those who live here. Although we Conservatives lost the 2023 election, there is a real concern that that it is the people of Medway who will eventually be the real losers. Ooh. God, that's such a whinge. That's such a whinge. It was the people of Medway who voted you out. It was the people of Medway who voted you out after 26 years. And you've already admitted in your first post how big the boundary changes were going to affect you because you've lost a lot of safe seats. So, yeah, cry some more. Please do. Please do. In Medway, of course, it was not just the local electorate lashing out against an unpopular government, which brought defeat. Again, something else we've seen trying to blame the National for local losses. Again, if you are from Medway, please do let me know what you think to this end of your 26 years of local Conservative council. I'd be very interested to know, as we said before. And there is a long way to go before an unspinning Labour Party are fit for government. But those hardworking councillors who are no longer in office may point a finger at our own government amid accusations of being let down. They may have a point. So again, this guy is blaming National for his local losses. Really, this comes across as an act. It's a whinge fest. There's no other way to explain it. This is a whinge fest. He is complaining straight off the bat about the fact that boundary changes lost them Conservative safe seats and had reduced Conservative majorities. To be honest, the people of Medway may be happy about that because you have Conservative safe seats that they can't do anything about. So the fact that you have had these boundary changes, to be honest, a good thing. And here's the thing: this will probably force these Conservatives to now consider actually having to sort of branch out. The fact that you've got again this fight of the NIMBYism and YIMBYism at a local level is taking place massively. So this reaches all the way back to the Chesham and Amersham by-election, if you may remember that, because that was, I think, really the very first sign that this NIMBYism, YIMBYism debate in the Conservative Party is something that is, once again, something else that is unresolved, something else which will spark a lot of civil warring in the Tory Party. So, like I say, if you are from Medway, please do let me know your opinions on this and your Conservative council. What do you think now that they've lost? Are you glad that they're out of power? And what are you looking forward to under this new administration? I'd be very interested to know. So if you are from Medway, like I say, please do let me know. But as always, thank you very much. And of course, as always, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, we'll see you all next time.